Jesus today in our gospel passage gives us this, perhaps to many of us, familiar image and encourages us to have faith the size of a mustard seed. And we all know what Jesus means when he talks about having faith the size of a mustard seed, because in one of the other Gospels, he actually explicitly says what he means. He says we want to have faith the size of a mustard seed that begins as the smallest of seeds, but grows into one of the largest bushes, and the birds make their nests in its branches. And then Jesus in today's gospel kind of sneaks in another image. He says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and planted in the sea, and it would obey you. Now, I'll admit I did a little bit of Googling, and mulberry trees can grow to be quite big, but they're not the biggest trees. Right? They're not like redwoods or even oaks or pines or, those trees that just grow massive into the sky, right? So it's interesting that Jesus uses this image of a mulberry tree. The fathers of the church, especially St. Ambrose, say that the image of the mulberry tree is an image that's meant to remind us of sin for two reasons. First, a mulberry tree, the fruit of a mulberry tree begins when it first blossoms, it's white. It's like a bright white color. And then as the tree grows, the fruit darkens and becomes almost a black color. And so St. Ambrose says that just so, right, sin takes the purity of our hearts, takes the purity of our souls and our lives, and it slowly but surely turns them black, right? And the other reason that the fathers of the church say that a mulberry tree is meant to be this image of sin is that a mulberry tree's roots grow very deep and very strong. And just so, our sin can grow very strong and very deep in our hearts, right? I'm sure all of us right now are thinking about the sins that we struggle with and how deeply rooted they seem to be in our lives, right? And no matter how much we try, we just can't seem to get over them. We just can't seem to overcome the temptations that we face. But Jesus is giving us some encouragement today. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, if you trust in the Lord even just a little bit, then you'll say to that mulberry tree of your sin, be uprooted and planted in the sea, and it would obey you. Again, the Lord, over and over again in the scriptures, gives us the same message. Overcoming our sin is not something that we do. Because the thing that we need to have, he says, to overcome our sin is faith. Not faith in ourselves, not an understanding of our own strength, not an understanding of our own ability to overcome that sin. What the Lord invites us to is faith in him, to place our trust in him, to know that he is the one who will transform our hearts. He is the one who will uproot that sin in our hearts and plant it in the sea. So as we come to the Lord today to receive him, to be given this great gift of the Eucharist, let us ask him for the grace of faith, to have even the smallest bit of trust in him, to give ourselves over to him even the smallest bit more than we do now, so that he can receive that faith that we place in him and he can transform our hearts, that our sin may be uprooted from our lives and we can grow more and more in virtue and grow more and more into the saints that he created us to be.